Good morning, Brep 2. This is Mr. Muhammad, your teacher of English. Inshallah, we will start today our second session in poetry with the second line, the second poem, Night, written by William Blake. Let's have a little information about William Blake. William Blake is a famous English poet. He was known in poetry with romantic poetry. He is the founder, one of the founders of the romantic poetry. And we mean by romantic poetry is that he used to write about nature. He used to write a lot about nature. He used to choose something which is prominent in nature and started to talk about it. He today started to write about night, which is an element in nature. Let's hear that video clip together.
Night by William Blake. The sun descending in the west, the evening star does shine. The birds are silent in their nest, and I must seek for mine. The moon like a flower in heaven's high bower, with silent delight, sits and smiles on the night.
So, the first stanza, the sun descending in the west, the evening star does shine, the birds are silent in their nest, and I must seek for mine. The moon like a flower in heaven's high power, with a silent delight, sits and smiles on the night. Let's go to the vocabulary for some words and then return back to the paraphrase. Descending means sitting down or going down. Seek, look for, try to find. Power, it's a shady place under the trees. Delight, great pleasure. Here, in the first stanza, the poet is talking about the night. He's telling us that the first evidence which tells us that night is here is that the sun is going down in the west. This is evidence number one. Number two, the moon starts to shine high in the sky. So this is evidence number two. Number three, everything around us is quiet. We can't hear its sound. The birds are sleeping. They are not singing anymore, which means that it's the night time. So, the last evidence which he gives us is that when the night comes, he himself, William Blake or the poet, goes to sleep and to rest. So all these evidence are for the coming of the night. The sun goes down, the moon is high in the sky, everything is sleeping, we can't hear the sound of the birds, and the poet himself goes to his bed for rest. In stanza number 2, he started to give us more details about the night. He said that the moon, the most prominent figure in the night, looks like a flower, a colorful flower, sitting silently, and it is smiling on the night, because this is the only thing which is full of light that we could see in the dark sky. Let's go to the literary devices, the figures of speech, and the writing technique. Figures of speech. Line which says, and I must seek for mine. Metaphor. Metaphor. We here said that the poet describes his home as the bird's nest. I must seek for mine. Mine here refers to his bed, because the birds, when they go to sleep, they go to the nest, and the poet himself goes to his nest, which is bed. The moon like a flower. Simile. The poet says that the moon looks like a flower and heaven is a garden. Sits and smiles on the night. Personification. Here the poet compares or personifies the moon like a man sit who sits and smiles. Writing technique. Must, mine. Here we have alliteration. The poet here repeated the letter M. Heaven, high. Also alliteration. He repeated the letter H. Sits, smiles. Alliteration. He repeated the letter S. And this is all to give internal music. The commentary, to sum up the main points of the writer or the poet, here he uses the letter S frequently to refer to the fact that night is soft, night is quiet, in using words like silent, seek, sits, smiles. The poem is of 2 stanzas only, and the rhyme scheme here is AP, AP, CC, DD. Here you will find questions with model answers for the poem. And then at the end, as usual, you will have your homework. Sorry. How did the poet describe the moon? Number 2, find metaphor or simile. Number 3, the poet has dedicated his last 4 lines to the wonderful image of the moon. Paraphrase. In other words, we need to paraphrase the second stanza. Number 4, pick out the figures of speech in the night and explain. What is the writing technique the poet used in the night? What is the main idea of the poem Night? Thank you very much and see you inshallah so soon.